If you're just jumping into the NFL draft mix, I guess maybe when mock draft season starts, you need to get with this podcast with the first pick. Mock draft time, NFL draft time, anytime. Ryan Wilson has the With the First Pick pod, and he's back with us here on HQ. All right, we broke down some of those top-end picks in the draft, Ryan. The safety position, though, is not one that often gets talked about this time of year, at least for a first round. Before we get into your top five, how does this safety class stack up in your eyes?
It's pretty deep, and you're going to get some guys. There's a chance, Chris, that you get two guys in the first round, just as many as you get quarterbacks and probably running backs. So there's something to be said about that. And then there's probably going to be a run on both cornerbacks and safety on day 2 in rounds 2 through 3, because after that it'll thin out a little bit. But there are safeties of all sizes, big and small, heavy and less so, who can play the run, who can play the deep half, and that versatility we're seeing more and more of as offenses evolve from high school on up and making their way to the NFL. But I like this safety class a lot. And sort of like in years past with guys like Talanoa Hufanga, who ended up going on day 3, you're going to find diamonds in the rough, guys who can come in right away, be special teams helpers, and then come in and play closer to the line of scrimmage and be impact players in year 1 as well.
You don't have to sift through the sand or dig through the weeds to find this guy. Number 1 on your list is maybe the most physically impressive guy at the position, Emmanwori. He lit up the combine. How impressive was that performance by him? I'm hearing you already. Whew. Enough said.
Yeah, and we talked to him at the Combine as well, and he is a more impressive human being than he is an athlete. And the testing numbers were through the roof, crazy. He had a vertical that was approaching 40 inches, ran in the 4.3s, and oh, by the way, he's 6'3", 220. He plays every bit as physical as those numbers would indicate. Sometimes you see these workout warriors, and you try to project what it looks like on the football field. No projection needed, because despite his size, you see it here, he has ball skills. He can play in the deep half of the field. He can flip his hips. He can cover tight ends. He can cover slot receivers, and then he is exceptional coming downhill against the run. He is my number 1 safety on my board, Emmanwori, ahead of Malachi Starks, who I love. You see him having going 17th here to the Cincinnati Bengals. They need edge rush help as well, but this would be a great start in terms of fixing that secondary. And I think there's an opportunity, Chris, that he ends up being a top 20 pick.
Okay, you mentioned it, maybe a couple safeties off the board in the first round, same number as quarterbacks and running backs, perhaps. Your mock draft, you have 2 safeties going in the first round. Malachi Starks is the other guy from Georgia. What has he done to say, okay, first round grade goes to him?
Well, he led Georgia in pass breakups as a freshman. He was a freshman All-American at Georgia. Kirby Smart compared him to Champ Bailey. And that's just the first paragraph of his bio. That's how good Malachi Starks was when he was in Georgia. He's one of the smartest players on the field on both sides of the ball. He was arguably the best athlete on that field for Georgia last year. And that says something when you talk about how annually they have so many guys drafted in the first 2 days of the draft. And he ran a 4.5, and I say that like, okay, I thought he was going to run faster than that. He plays faster than that. He also has a track background, and if he gets past 24, where the Vikings are, and then B-Flow would love to have him in that defense, the Ravens would be an absolute nightmare for the rest of the AFC North, because then you have Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks patrolling the secondary, and that's a huge issue if you're another team in that division trying to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, Ravens and safeties, just something about that team finding them. Third on your list, Ryan, is a star from Texas, Andrew Mukuba. What do we need to know about him that people may not know 6 days out from the draft?
It's no mistake that a lot of these safeties are typically the smartest guys on the field, and Andrew Mukuba is no exception. He plays primarily in the deep half of the field, but he can come downhill, and he is looking to pop somebody, and you can see the ball skills here. And he's only 186, and that's a concern in terms of playing that position where you're asked to support the run and you're asked to go up against tight ends. But you see the speed coming down here. He ran in the fours, and that speed shows up on tape. Here he is against Carson Beck, making an incredible play down the field. And if he were 10 pounds heavier, we might be having a first-round conversation about him, Chris, but I like him in round 2 all day long, and I think the incredible intellect, and the athleticism makes him an easy choice if you're looking for someone to be the captain of your defense in the second round.
Those 5 interceptions in 2024, tied for most in the SEC. Big Ten, Penn State made it all the way to the college football playoff semifinal. Of course, all we did was talk about Abdul Carter on the defensive side of the ball, and for good reason. But someone who wasn't on the field was Kevin Winston, but he did lead the Nittany Lions in tackles in 2023, missed all of 24, or most of it anyway, with a torn ACL. Is he a long-term project for teams at the next level? Can he make an impact right away?
No, he is not a long-term project. He is a right-away project. Get out there and start making plays. And you talked about the 2023 tape and how impressive he was. Only played in a handful of games before tearing that ACL. But most impressive about him, or one of the impressive things, is that he ran the 40 a few weeks ago and ran a 4.5 after coming off that torn ACL in the fall. And he plays that fast and probably a little faster once he gets 100% healthy. But he's another guy, 6'1", 215, who will pop someone in the run game. And I say that with a chuckle because he is so good at it. He has sideline to sideline mobility. He has ball skills. He has everything you're looking for in a modern NFL safety. He can play free safety. He can play closer to the line of scrimmage. And unfortunately, for Penn State and for us as viewers, we didn't get a chance to watch him because of that injury. But I think if you look back to 2023, and teams have certainly done this, there's every chance that he's a day 2 pick, and he could be a pretty high day 2 pick because ACLs aren't like they were back in Joe Namath's day, for example. Those are things you can overcome, and not only overcome, come back sometimes better and stronger and faster. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that with Kevin Winston Jr.
Yeah, okay, these are your top 5 safeties in this year's NFL draft. Number 5, Jonah Sanker of Virginia, first team All-ACC last year. Also rounded out your 3-round mock draft on CBSSports.com. Is he going to be a mid to late round steal for teams?
You know what? That's actually a good question, Chris. He could end up going on day 3, but he is a day 2 talent all day long, probably a mid-day 2 talent. And you don't think about, you know, a lot of great football coming out of UVA in recent years, and no disrespect to the Wahoos, but that's just been the reality of it. Jonah Sanker has been a difference maker. And again, 6'3", 206, ran sub 4.5. He plays that fast. He is physical. I described him like he shot out of a missile coming downhill against the run. He loves to hit people. You see that here. He went to the Senior Bowl, had a good week there, and I think all that stuff translates. When you're that big, that fast, that strong, you're going to be making plays at the next level. He reminds me a little bit of Cam Kitchens coming out of the U a year ago, Chris. Cam ran to the 4.6s, went to the Rams, and had a really good rookie campaign. I think Sanker could replicate that, even though he tested better during the pre-draft process.
Ryan, great stuff, man. We appreciate the time here on HQ. If you think your work is almost done with the draft, you know it isn't. Here's a look at the top 5 safeties on Ryan Wilson's board. Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina at the top, followed by Malachi Starks, who Ryan also has going in the first round on Thursday. Why isn't his work almost done? Well, because this is a year-round project for him, with the First Pick podcast available now and year-round, looking ahead to the NFL draft.